Hey guys, Kevin, it's my for this week of Big Brother 17, episodes 36 through 37. I know that there is an episode tomorrow, but this was a week's worth of Big Brother in 2 episodes, so I am going to count this as a week. And obviously, this was it. This is it, guys. This was the final, this was the final normal week of, last week was the final normal week, and this is it. We're down to the final five. Tomorrow we have final four. Now we have the final four, and then we'll have the final three tomorrow. This is really it, guys, and we're really getting down to it, and I have to say, I haven't really been into Big Brother, that much until this. I haven't really been this into Big Brother for a while, really. Last season I was into it when Caleb left, but I wasn't really that into it, I think, as I am this season. Like, this, I was really into this week. I think there was some really interesting things that happened this week, and definitely it could be a very, very close, final three. I really don't know what's going to happen from here on out, and I really like seeing that, because it has been a pretty predictable season, I will say that, but it has been unpredictable in the sense of, who leaves and things like that, and let's get into this week. First off, right off the bat, as we know, it left off in an endurance competition, and of course, it's that stupid egg thing that I really don't like. I think it's really boring, and I really don't like the way it plays out. Austin seemed like he was going to win. It seemed like this was going to be Austin's win. But in probably the worst move that she possibly could have done, Vanessa ends up taking the final five HOH. And I think this was probably the worst move for her. Mainly because you want to try to get the final four HOH, because you can play in the final four HOH and you can play in final three, and that guarantees you to final three. It's like the best position you could get. If you have final five, you have to sit out at the final four HOH, and that's exactly what Vanessa had to do, and I really felt this could have changed, her life in the game. She could have gone from maybe winning this game to going home tomorrow night. I could honestly see her going home tomorrow night's episode. But her as HOH, you can tell that she at this point is just paranoid. She doesn't know what she's doing. She's going crazy, and it's mainly because you got two, as she calls them, power duos in the house, which I don't really see. The only reason that Johnny Mac and Steve are allied is mainly because she agreed to work with them. That's really why they're allied. They're not a power duo. They've never been a power duo. The only reason they've been close is because they've just stuck by each other. That really is what it is. They've never been a power duo. Austin and Liz, on the other hand, are in a romance, not a showmance. They're actually together. They are boyfriend and girlfriend, which is ridiculous, but whatever. And you think the smart thing would be for her to put them up. But at this point, she is just going crazy. She doesn't really know what she wants to do, and she tries to get Austin, Austin tries to talk to her about possibly making a deal, and tells her about the deal that they had on week 2. And I thought it was smart of him to do this, because he's probably been her closest ally in the game. But, like I said before, I really feel her worst move in this game is when she decided to ally with Clay and Shelly over Liz and Austin. It was probably the worst move she could have done, and I feel that's really costed her here, because Austin isn't actually, you can tell that Austin Liz is her main target here. That's who she obviously wants to get rid of. That's who she wants to go. But for whatever reason, she doesn't seem like she really wants to do much with that. And she gets all upset at Johnny Mac, and it's really, really silly, because, she tells Johnny Mac to go talk to Austin and start something with him. But then when Johnny Mac talks to her, she's like, "What are you doing? Why'd you tell him this?" And I'm like, "You're the one that told him. You're the one that told him to talk to Austin, to make a deal with him, and yet you're upset at him about it." I think it's just because Vanessa is telling everyone all these different things, and basically telling them, whatever they want to hear, and she's making deals with all these different people, and she takes this game and plays it like a poker game, because she's a poker player, and really has just screwed herself over. Her winning HOH, like I said, is probably the worst thing that could have happened to her. It is. It's probably the worst thing, the worst position that she could have been in. I personally think it is. So, Vanessa at this point is just going crazy. There's really not much to say about that, except that she's going crazy. Liz, on the other hand, has won the luxury competition. Now, usually a luxury prize means money. it means, but it means money or it means something involved a vacation. It doesn't usually mean taking a trip outside of the house, but that's what this meant. And we were told that we were going to see a returning house guest. And I was like, okay, maybe we'll finally get that chance to see a Jeff and a Jordan, or say a Rachel or a Brendan or something like that. And guess who they bring back for no reason whatsoever? They bring back Frankie Grande. Yes, the worst house guest that they could have possibly brought was Frankie. That's why this episode had very low ratings, and I really wanted to boycott this episode when I realized they were bringing back Frankie. Like, seriously, you could bring back anyone. Why Frankie? Why? Nobody likes Frankie. There's nobody. I looked at Twitter. Everyone hates Frankie. He is a misogynist. He is rude, and he thinks he's like the greatest thing ever, and he still feels he is. And that's what I hate about Frankie. He's so arrogant, and I couldn't stand that they brought him back. Just for these 5 minutes, they brought him back, and it was pointless, completely pointless. He decides to take Liz and Vanessa to an Ariana Grande concert, and that's what he decides to do, take them to this Ariana Grande concert. And, it's fine that they're doing that, but she decides not to take Austin because this is more of a girls' night thing. That's what she wants, and they decide to go. And they decide to disguise them, and basically, which I thought I understood that, because obviously I don't want them to be recognized because they are Big Brother players. They could be recognized. So he disguises them. Liz has like a brown wig, and Vanessa looks completely different. So they get to, but my thing here is that they have VIP seats. Nobody's going to see them, so I don't understand what the worry was here. Why do we have to disguise them if they had VIP seats up in a balcony? That's what I didn't understand. So we get like a good 2 minutes of them jamming out to Ariana Grande's Problem, and I'm just like, is this Big Brother, or am I watching an MTV music video? Like, what is this? Like, seriously, it was very, very strange, and I felt like I wasn't watching Big Brother. I felt like I was watching, like, let me think of a show. I felt like I was watching The Voice or something. It was very, very strange. I mean, just seeing them go to this Ariana Grande concert, it just felt very, very strange, especially in a season where they hadn't done that. If they had done that last year, with Frankie going to his sister's concert because he hasn't seen her, that I could have understood. But having Liz go to an Ariana Grande concert just felt very out of place, and it felt like they could have done something else, really. It felt like they could have done anything else, and I would have been fine with that. I really... Honestly, what I think they could have done, and I know this might be pushing it, but how about a visit from home? I mean, that could have been really interesting. One person gets a visit from home. Everyone would want to get the luxury then. I mean, the whole point of the luxury was so that person didn't get HOH. It kind of was like a distraction. I think what they should have done is been like, hey, if you get the luxury, you could get a visit from home. That could have been very interesting. I know that kind of ruins the experiment, but so does going outside the house. It pretty much ruins what we're trying to do here, and I really felt it was pointless. And I do agree with Johnny Mac that, hey, we're trying to do nominations here. There's really no time for this. They're having fun and everything while they're trying to figure out nominations here, scared to death. You have Austin, Steve, and Johnny Mac trapped in a house with each other. Liz and Vanessa are gone, and it felt very, very strange. And then when they came back, I'm like, oh yeah, this is a Big Brother episode. It was very weird, and I really hope they do nothing like that again. It wasn't bad, it didn't belong in this episode. It was very strange. Any other week, I could have understood. It just felt very, very strange to me, but, nobody really seemed to care that Frankie was there. Steve cared, because he's obsessed with Big Brother, which I was surprised that Steve cared as much as he did. He seemed to think that Frankie was this big star. Liz seemed to care. Johnny Mac didn't seem to care at all, which I'm happy that he didn't, because I fucking hate Frankie. I'm sorry, I do. I really, really hate Frankie. I think he was a bad player, he was bad socially, he was very, very annoying, and I just overall really was not a fan of Frankie last year. I really wasn't, and I wasn't happy to see him. I'm sorry, I had to get that out. But back to the week, Vanessa surprisingly ends up nominating Johnny Mac and Steve instead of Liz and Austin. And I don't understand why she did this. Why Johnny Mac? Why is Johnny Mac your target here? And I understand what her point was, that she thinks that Johnny Mac could be someone to keep around. It's just that's could be someone that people would want to take to the final two. But here's the thing with that. Johnny Mac hasn't won anything, and then you have Liz and Austin, who are two competition beasts, who have won pretty much everything that they can, and have won tons and tons of shit. I mean, you saw Austin beasting that veto. I would think that you would have put up Austin and Liz, or done what I thought she would do, which is a Steve or a Johnny Mac or a Liz or an Austin. That's what I think she should have done, but she didn't do that. And I think it's mainly because of how paranoid Vanessa was, but for whatever reason, that's what she does. She decides to put them up. So then we get to tonight's episode, which was a surprise eviction, which I was surprised that the house guests were so surprised about, because they do it every year. They always do Tuesday night eviction, and then Tuesday night, fake audience, feeds down for 12 hours, which the feeds have been down for a good 12 hours. I think they're back on now, but basically, fake eviction and then live eviction tomorrow. That's what they always do. I was surprised that the house guests were so surprised about, but they were, and this is when things got very interesting. I thought we saw some very compelling scenarios in this episode that I definitely really like seeing, and something that I'm very interested in seeing what could happen in the rest of this game. The person I was most impressed by in this episode was Johnny Mac. Oh my god, Johnny Mac. To me personally, I really feel that Johnny Mac has had this plan all along. This plan that he had, what he did in this episode, I really felt is what he's meant to do all game long, but he's kind of been hiding inside for the final five, and I think it was very smart of him to do that here, because obviously Johnny Mac knows he's the target right now, and that he could possibly go up, and this is very interesting. Basically, what ends up happening is, at first, we see that the house guests are going to be being shown an episode of the CBS series Life in Pieces. Life in Pieces, which I will be reviewing for you guys Monday, if you guys are interested in that. But I'm looking forward to that show. But I was surprised we didn't actually see them watch it, because they did that with Scorpion last year, and we didn't see it, but whatever. Didn't really matter, especially in a crowd episode, it didn't really matter. But basically, Johnny Mac knows he's the target here. However, he kind of strikes up this conversation with Austin, and I thought this was very, very genius what he's doing. He's basically making Austin think that he's going to use the veto on him, and that he is going to throw the veto so Austin, will take it. And you can tell that Johnny Mac isn't really serious here. He is basically trying to make Austin think, oh, you're safe, I'm going to ally with you. It was very, very smart what Johnny Mac was doing. Basically making Austin think, okay, I could ally with him, I could try to get Vanessa to save him. It was a very interesting thing, and Austin goes to Vanessa saying, I don't know what this means, I don't know what it means, because obviously this is Final Five. It's probably not a very good move to throw the veto. It's really not a good idea to do that. So Austin can tell Johnny Mac has something else up his sleeve, but he kind of feels like Johnny Mac is doing something else, and Austin feels like Johnny Mac is telling the truth here, and I thought this was definitely very interesting to see what was going on there. Steve, in the meantime, is pretty pissed off at Vanessa. He doesn't really know why Vanessa did this, and that's understandable as well. However, Johnny Mac does a bit of reverse psychology here, because he actually ends up winning the veto, which I thought was very interesting. I really did like the veto, by the way, with the Life in Pieces puzzle. I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, he ends up winning the veto, pissing off Austin, but Austin's also very impressed because Johnny Mac basically played him, and that I thought was very interesting. I really like seeing this, manipulative Johnny Mac that I think has just kind of been hiding in there. I think he's been there the whole time, and I think he's kind of just been waiting for the right time for it to come out, and now it's coming out, and I really love seeing this side of Johnny Mac, because then Johnny Mac tells Austin that he actually plans on actually getting rid of Steve. That's his biggest target here, is that he wants to get rid of Steve, and that he actually plans on taking Liz and Austin to the final two. Now, let me think about this. Austin needs to think about this for a second, because what Johnny Mac is saying makes no sense whatsoever. Why the fuck would you take yourself and a showmance to the final three? It doesn't make any sense why he would do that. Austin, being the idiot that he is, basically thinks that Johnny Mac is serious and decides to basically not try to say anything to Vanessa, because he thinks Johnny Mac is going to try to get rid of Steve. So Johnny Mac takes himself off the block, and Austin goes up and basically that's Johnny Mac's plan. I thought that was very interesting to see what Johnny Mac was actually thinking here. Because I knew that there was no way that Johnny Mac was going to take Austin, Liz to the final two. I just knew there was no way he was going to do that. So, what ends up happening is that Austin and Steve are on the block, obviously. And Johnny Mac evicts Austin, and Liz, of course, evicts Steve. Vanessa breaks the tie. Austin goes home, and Austin obviously is pissed off at Johnny Mac, but I was very impressed that Johnny Mac didn't decide to ally with Austin, that he realized, you know what, this probably isn't a good idea. I probably shouldn't be doing this. And I thought that was very smart of him, and I was very impressed by him doing that. I was just very, very impressed by Johnny Mac's gameplay in this episode. Austin, on the other hand, I don't know what the hell his problem was. I mean, he looked like he literally just woke up. Who goes on an eviction night with no shoes on? It's just ridiculous. It's not classy, which, that's the one thing that Austin never had. I never saw any kind of class in Austin. Austin this entire season has been very cocky. He's been very, very open. Like, you can tell when he's upset. He has a very big ego. I mean, he is just... If I had to pick a Frankie for this season, it would definitely be Austin. Austin is by far my least favorite house guest this season. I'm very happy to see these gone. Even though it would have been interesting to see maybe Steve leave and see how that would have gone. I think Johnny Mac decided not to do it, mainly because, one, that was his plan all along. Two, I think it's the best thing for Johnny Mac because Steve is his closest ally in the game. And what I think is going to happen here is maybe they can find a way to get rid of Vanessa, because you can tell that Johnny Mac's main target is definitely Vanessa. That's probably what he wants to do. He wants to get rid of Vanessa, but there's a part of me that's saying maybe no, that's not true, because obviously we know he just said that thing to Austin. So maybe his main target's actually Liz. Maybe Liz is who he wants to get out, and that's very interesting. And then we get into the HOH competition, which I thought was very good. By the way, you could tell the audience was fake. You just tell because the applause wasn't very loud, and I think if an audience was there, Austin would have probably be booed, because Austin was like the least, no one really likes Austin. I don't think he was very well liked, and his interview with Julie, you could just tell how mad he was, how not classy he was, and it was very, very rude, and I just felt like he didn't even care, really. You know, he was only there for Liz, and he looked like he just woke up, he had, like, sweatpants on. I mean, at least try to dress up, at least make an attempt. I mean, I would have at least made an attempt, you know, do whatever I can, maybe just at least put shoes on. Like, do you know what shoes are? They go on your feet when you walk out in public, and when you're in public, you should probably not be barefoot. It's just a good suggestion. And on the other hand, if you weren't evicted, you probably would have played in the HOH competition anyway, and I heard the floor is fucking hot outside, so I think it would have been a good gesture for you to put on shoes. You know, it just probably would have been a good thing. I'm sorry, I know I'm making a big deal out of not wearing shoes, but it's pretty much common sense. I mean, you should probably wear shoes when you're evicted. It's just probably a good thing to do. Because Austin's gonna leave with no shoes. He didn't even leave with a bag. He didn't fucking care. It was really weird. So we get to the HOH competition, and I was very happy to see what the bleep back, because they tried to do it last year, but of course, when they did it, Derek won the first round, and really get to see that game played very well, and I really do love what the bleep. I think it's very fun. I think some of them actually do sound like they're saying something else, and I think it's very funny. There are quite a few times when it sounded like Becky said all these guys like fuck me or something, and Meg said that as well. I thought that was very funny. It's a juvenile game, but it's very fun. It definitely is very fun, and I think it's one of the more fun quizzes that Big Brother has done. And and basically, of course, Vanessa's sitting out, which is a very bad situation for her, because she is eligible for nomination. There's no way she can get out of it. She is eligible for nomination, and that she probably will be nominated. I wouldn't be surprised if Vanessa is nominated. So, Steve, Johnny Mac, and Liz it took them a while, actually. It took them quite a while. I thought it was going to be it was a pretty close race, and it goes down to Steve and Johnny Mac. They break the tie, and Steve ends up winning HOH, but he actually meant to put 6,000 instead of 600. So if he would have put 6,000, Johnny Mac for sure would have won HOH. So Johnny Mac was like this close of winning HOH, and he could have won, but he didn't. And Steve has now won HOH. what I pretty much feel the plan is here is that he's going to ally with Johnny Mac, because there's no way he's going to get rid of Johnny Mac. If he got rid of Johnny Mac, that'd be really stupid, and I don't feel that's the right thing to do. Johnny Mac would definitely cut Steve. He said it before that if he had to cut Steve, he would, but obviously I think Steve's best move would be to stick with Johnny Mac and get rid of either Liz or Vanessa. Get rid of one of them. Obviously, they're the only options, but you gotta get rid of one of them so that way, because Steve is now solidified for Final 3. He's gonna be in Final 3, and without a doubt, that's where he's gonna be, and I think it's really cool. But now he has to make a decision between, do I want to target Liz, Vanessa, or Johnny Mac? Johnny Mac would probably be the worst choice, because I think Johnny Mac really has a good idea of what he wants to do for the rest of this game. And you can tell that Johnny Mac is not interested in allying with anyone but really himself. At this point, he wants to play with himself. He wants to get himself as close to that Final 3 as possible, and I really feel he's playing the best game, honestly. I've said all season, Johnny Mac is playing the best game, and I really feel this episode showed that, because we saw this side of Johnny Mac that was much more strategic than we have all season, and I don't feel it's just been gone. I feel it's always been there. It's just been Johnny Mac has been waiting for it to come out, and I think it's definitely is going to be very interesting to see what ends up happening with that, because that definitely is going to be a very interesting. That definitely is going to be a very interesting scenario next week, tomorrow night. I can't wait to see what happens tomorrow night. Who Steve puts up, I don't know. I don't know if nominations already happened. The live feeds have been off for 12 hours. So I don't know if we've already had nominations or not. I'm pretty sure the live feeds are down for the rest of the season. I'm not sure. But let me know what you guys thought of this week. Yes, I know there is an episode next week, tomorrow night. I can't wait to see what happens tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, we will finally know who the Final 3 is, and that's going to be awesome. I mean, it goes so fast. We went from Final 5, now we have Final 4, and tomorrow night we're going to have Final 3. It's pretty crazy, but that's what's going to happen, and I can't wait to see who the Final 3 will be. It all really comes down to, who does Steve want to target? Does he want to, who does he think he can beat? I think he has a much better chance of beating Vanessa than he does Liz at this point, because Vanessa I don't think is well liked by a lot of the house. I really don't think she is. And Austin even said that you're not getting my vote, that the jury is not going to like you and things like that. And obviously Vanessa was crying and things like that. And Liz, I feel, is more liked, and Liz would probably be the better person. However, I think if it came down to Steve and Liz in Final 2, Steve would definitely win. Definitely that's what would happen there. And if it was Johnny Mac and Liz in Final 2 as well, that he probably would win over Liz. Because I think Liz just, while she has a lot of friends, she's not the best speaker. She's really not. And I'm interested in seeing really what's going to happen with that. So we'll have to see what happens tomorrow night. But let me know what you guys saw this week overall. I was very impressed by Johnny Mac. What do you guys think is going to happen? Who do you think the target is for tomorrow night? Who do you think the Final 3 is going to be? And honestly, who do you think is going to win the game? Because that's really what it comes down to now, is who's going to win the game. I really feel if Johnny Mac keeps beasting the game like he is, he has a very good chance of winning, and I really wouldn't be surprised if he goes to that Final 3 and then wins in HOH. I really could see that happening. And he was this close to winning HOH. I really feel if Johnny Mac stays, he is winning that final HOH. I definitely could see that happening, and that could be very interesting, and I can't wait to see if that really does happen. But that's basically my review. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you guys in my next video, which will be for a movie review and the return of my Muppet movie review. So you guys know what my next review is going to be. If you don't know, check out my letterbox, but I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.